Hey, it's Dr. Schmidt. So this is the last of 4 videos to talk about the launch of the 7-Step Blueprint to Optimal Health program that I have on my website. At the end of this, I'll go over prices. Now, the thumbnail for this video is this document right here. So let me kind of blow this up. It's not intimidating. Don't be afraid of it. I'm going to squeeze myself into the corner here. Where do I go? This way? I have to go this way. Oh, I have to get rid of this. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so look up here at the very top, and you draw a line in the center of the doc. Use the microphone. So look at the very top of this document and draw a line down to the circle. That circle is called the Krebs cycle. You may have learned about that in school or not. But the point is, at the top you have food, and that becomes fuel. So the fuel is part of this is the circle, and then you go down to the bottom, and there's a series of blue steps, and that's where fuel becomes energy. So it's food becoming fuel, and then the fuel becomes energy. And this is a natural process of creating energy so you can move your body around. And let me make this smaller so you can see me again. And it's the when you have more energy, that's called ATP. Now your body has energy to detoxify, and now your body has energy for a strong immune system, and your body has energy to break down more food to turn it into fuel, and your body has energy to heal. So without that process that I just showed you on this graphic right here, everything's backwards when you look at the camera. Without that, in the mitochondria, and how many mitochondria are there per cell? Depends on the type of cell. It could be 2,000, it could be 10,000. There's some brain cells that have 2 million. The majority of the cell it's mitochondria. So in school, you may have learned about the cell and like the nucleus, and maybe one mitochondria. In the depictions, there's going to be one mitochondria per cell. No, there's thousands, 10,000, or it just depends on the cell. And so if your mitochondria don't work, then what? You lose energy. Now you can't detox very well. You can't create fuel from food. You don't have a good immune system, and you have a hard time walking around. And so this is all respiration. You have at the top, you have the beginning of respiration. In the middle, it's called intermediate respiration. And then at the bottom, it's the final stages of respiration. This is a super interesting graph, in my opinion, because at the top, before 1933, they knew about the stuff at the top and the stuff at the bottom. That's called the electron transport chain. But they didn't know that there was something in the middle. And then Sir Hans Krebs found this, and it was like he's the only person in the whole world who'd be able to do that, and he accomplished that by 1937. So what it really comes down to is the intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide. So when I say the words respire, you're maybe thinking inspiration and expiration of your lungs and air going in and out. But that process happens all the way down to the electrons and the chemicals and the hydrogens at this level. Okay, and there's this process occurs in, there's like 1,000 of these stations in each mitochondria. Okay, what blocks this? What prevents you from respiring very well at this level? It's toxins. It's toxins. It's toxins. There's not much else to say about it. And so what are these toxins? Well, chemicals and metals. And then there are toxins that come from organisms, which are also chemicals. And there's plastics, which are chemicals, and there's agricultural pesticides and herbicides. Those are chemicals, and if you're spraying for wasps and you breathe it in, that's chemicals. So chemicals are a bigger issue than heavy metals. I've been running a variety of lab tests from a company called Vibrant America, and it's a fantastic company, and sometimes heavy metals will show up, but chemicals do on every single person. And so does fungus, not as bad as chemicals, but the mycotoxins from fungus shows up. And again, mycotoxins from mold, those are chemicals. So we're going to talk about the last. I'm going to get rid of this. So now we're going to talk about, go back to these 7 steps. We're talking about steps 6 and 7, and that is powerful detoxification down here in the orange, and then the yellow is cellular immune cleansing. So cellular immune cleansing means the organisms and toxins that are inside the cells, and that is known as Lyme disease. So let me give you a little background on Lyme disease. The first organism discovered inside the cells causing harm is called Borrelia burgdorferi, and the first people that were sick from this were in Lyme, Connecticut, hence the name Lyme disease. And Dr. Burgdorf, he's the guy that identified this organism, so therefore it's named after him. And there's many species of Borrelia. Okay, and Borrelia is Lyme, and there's a variety of co-infections that come from that are included in this category of Lyme. They live in the cells. Babesia is a co-infection. Bartonella is a co-infection. Mycoplasma, Ehrlichia, these are all co-infections. And there are viruses that live inside the cells. They also go in the same category. And some molds live in cells, and some toxins that come from molds are in the cells. That also belongs in the category of Lyme. There's like 80 organisms and toxins that are inside the cells. Okay, so I'm talking about step 7, cellular immune cleansing. Let me back up a little bit then about the powerful detoxification. So I need to pull up the other graphic that I was using from before. Yeah, this one. And I'm going to get rid of this graphic here. Good. Okay, good. And let me blow this one up a little bit. Bear with me. So talking about eliminate toxins. This is pillar 3. Now, earlier, yesterday and the day before, we talked about eliminate initial barriers and eliminate parasites. So those are steps 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. So step 6, we have chemicals, heavy metals, radioactive elements. And you got to detox that out. And then step 7 is Lyme, toxins, mold, and other organisms. So let's talk about this first one, radioactive elements under powerful detoxification. Radiation like uranium and thorium and radium, those are still a problem. And there are 52 nuclear power plants currently running without a license. And there is still the potential for radioactive poisoning from 3 Mile Island, Fukushima, and Chernobyl. And there's a product that gets rid of, there's 2 products that get rid of radiation out of the body, and one is called CT Minerals. So let me tell you a story about this. Now, the guy that made CT Minerals, he had this product done, and then Fukushima blew up, and the Japanese government had a competition to find out what is the best remedy for toxicity of radiation in the soil, in the animals, in the people, in the water. So they had scientists from all over the world compete, and what they did is they had radiation in these vats of water, and they had measured the quantity of radiation, and then they applied the remedy, and CT Minerals won. It cleared out the radiation from the water basically 100%. And the Japanese officials did not believe it. They thought that there was a mistake in the testing, so they redid the test, and they made sure they had a sufficient quantity of radiation in the water. And again, they applied the remedy, and all the radiation basically was gone. So he never got the contract because he's like just a single, scientist. He didn't have the manufacturing capability to make enough for the country or for the area around Fukushima. So this CT Minerals is a product that you can acquire from Cellcore. We sell it, and there's another product that works even better. And again, it's from Cellcore. And it's because, like I mentioned, the new product development from Cellcore is from quantum physicists, not biologists, not a nutritionist or dietitian. Their chief scientists that create the products are quantum physicists. Look, it puts a smile on my face. And I study quantum physicists like other people study or follow athletes. And I took a quantum physics class at Ohio State when I was an undergrad, and I aced it. It was easy for me. It made sense. I also took a theoretical electrical test or class. I didn't do so well on that one, although they are related, but I got the quantum physics pretty easily. So when they started coming out with products back, 4 years ago, I understood where they were coming from. It was easy for me to grasp their information. But they're using fulvic acid and humic acid as their main detoxifiers. Fulvic acid and humic acid come from the soil, and it's made by bacteria. Human beings cannot make fulvic or humic acid. And basically, what these acids are, it's a complex of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. And there's just a lot of hydrogen in it, so therefore it's an acid. It doesn't mean it's going to burn your skin. It just has a lot of hydrogen in it. And then at cell core, they put more hydrogen in it and then electrons. So those are the four main ingredients. And they are the strongest detoxifiers in all of science. So you may be taking N-acetylcysteine or glutathione or ascorbic acid thinking that you're detoxing. Well, I got news for you. If you want to detox, it's fulvic acid and humic acid, but it's got to be a low pH like 3. Most of them are high pH like 9 or 11. It's kind of worthless to take a high pH fulvic acid. Okay, now the scientists at Cellcore add electrons to these products. And the more electrons, the more electricity. They literally measure their products in millivolts. Name a supplement company that measures their products in millivolts. The more electricity you have in your product, the more electricity you have in your body, and the better results you get. Okay? So the next category here is heavy metals, right next to the radioactive elements in that graphic. And I just want to kind of skim by that because throughout most of my career, I thought that heavy metals were the problem. And there's a bunch of, even back in 1998, I went to a seminar, and the guy giving the seminar said, yeah, heavy metals, that's why people are sick. Well, really, it's diet. And really, it's chemicals and then parasites, the other things. And heavy metals are like a smaller issue. So there is but if you have heavy metals, and people do, and I find it with a lab test, we just get rid of it. And people start getting symptoms like when they're detoxing, now they taste metal in their mouth. And it could be from mercury fillings in their teeth, or it could be from an exposure somewhere, maybe getting a dye from having an MRI done with contrast. Okay, but if it shows up, you want to get it out. Now, one thing about metals and chemicals is that they don't get worse over time like mold does, or parasites or bacteria. Those organisms, they grow. You can have an exposure from 10 years ago, and you get worse and worse year after year after year because they're biological and they lay eggs or they divide through mitosis and you get more and more cells. Fungi grow by shooting out roots or spores, right? They just grow. So, but a heavy metal can sit in your body and degenerate. For example, mercury can degenerate nerve cells. And as long as that mercury is there and a nerve cell is near it, there's no growth, there's no repair. So it is a problem. Okay, now here's the chemical component right here. I'm going to switch over to this subject. There are potentially, 81,000 chemicals on the market that you could buy, or a chemical, or any company could buy, and they're approved for sale. So that's a problem because these chemicals block mitochondrial function, and sometimes they're not always detoxed out very well or very quickly. And you can have a chemical that takes a while to detoxify, and in the meantime, it's causing harm in your body. So something like BPA, for example, comes from plastic. How long does it take to detoxify out? It takes longer than Roundup or glyphosate. Glyphosate, when some researchers say that glyphosate comes out of your body within 12 hours. Well, that's not entirely true. a lot of it comes out in 12 hours, but other parts of glyphosate will combine into your connective tissue, and it becomes part of your ligaments, tendons, muscles, and it displaces glycine, which is one of the building components of connective tissue. So glyphosate, glycine, they sound the same, they kind of look the same, and the body thinks that they're the same. So that's why glyphosate can get stuck in your body because it's now in your connective tissue. And when you look at the need for repair of the ACL ligament, anterior cruciate ligament in the knees, the number one population that has ACL tears in the knees is what, like 65 to 75. Okay, fine. The number two population that needs the ACL repair is like age 10 to 14. Why is that? Their body's filled with glyphosate, and then they're playing sports. Now, the tear of that knee is not from getting tackled, it's actually from running and then cutting. So you're putting lateral shear stress on the knee, and then it tears. Okay, so, but your ligaments should be strong enough to not tear when you are running and turning quickly. All right, it's just a weakness of the connective tissue. What a disaster. And everybody's got glyphosate in their body. I've been running a lab test for glyphosate, and now for coming up on 10 months. I did a video about this company, and I don't remember anybody not having high amounts of glyphosate in their body. Every single person, including myself. And I have a really good diet, etc. So now I'm detoxing plastic and glyphosate, and there's a couple other chemicals I had in my body. So these cause weaknesses, and you could maybe argue, do they cause cancer or other health problems? Probably yes. And they're worth tackling if you want to improve your health. Okay, there's my story about powerful detoxification. When you're taking the Cellcore products, people know that they're working because like they take a product to get rid of plastic and now their mouth tastes like plastic. This has happened on multiple occasions with different patients. They can smell plastic in their nostrils because it's coming out of their body. They're literally, they smell plastic coming out of their body, out of their skin. I've had a variety of people say that their bowel movements smell like burnt rubber, sulfur, a chemical factory. I have a woman, her body smells like cigarette smoke. She never smoked in her life, but she grew up in a house where both of her parents smoked. So between the age of 0 to 19, she's breathing in cigarette smoke, and now she's, 60. And she's detoxing and getting smoke coming out. So that's powerful detoxification because it's happening. Okay, and I did a video about carboxy. That is the most powerful detox product I've ever worked with. Again, it's from Cellcore. And when I took it the first night, I went to the bathroom, and what came out of me smelled like a dead animal. It's horrific. You can watch the video. You can find it on my YouTube channel. But 6 weeks later, I'm really clean. I go to the bathroom, it doesn't smell like that. I know it did a tremendous amount of cleaning. I think it literally took out dead tissue out of my body. I had already completed 3.5 years of detoxing mycotoxins from mold. Okay, and then I was done. I finished with that product for the mold, and then I got a bottle of carboxy, and I was not done with whatever else the carboxy was getting out. So different chelators or binders, I should say, different binders will get out different toxins or mucus or dead cells or plastics or whatever. Okay, now step 7, cellular immune cleansing. Let's get into more detail about this. So I already described what Lyme is, and part of the problem with Lyme is that medicine kind of ignores it. And if they find it, they're going to give you amoxicillin, an antibiotic, for example. But what about the toxins? And what about, it includes parasites, it includes viruses, as in this Lyme category of problems within the cell. So, the holistic medical doctors will give Lyme patients an antibiotic every day for a year or maybe even a little bit more. And, they've been doing that since the 80s. But now we're smarter and we have more information, and we know that detoxing is super important. So you get rid of the toxins, and now your tissue, your cells are more viable. They work better, they breathe better, they're more nourished because you remove the toxins. And now your cells have their own immune system, and that works better. And now your cells can start getting rid of these organisms. Now, there are people that do steps 1 through 6, and now their Lyme is gone. They don't need to do step 7. What is step 7? It's actually several liquid multi-herbal supplements, combinations of herbs in a liquid form, and they're fantastic. But you can't just start off with that. I mean, sometimes I'll have people start off with these herbs, and it gives them some relief. But in the meantime, we have to do step 1, because if you're eating sugar, it's all worthless. Then we do step 2. If you don't have enough energy in your mitochondria, what's the point? The immune system is weak. Okay, bring up the energy, the mitochondrial energy, and now go to step 3. Make sure your drainage is working. Make sure your liver, kidneys, bowels, they're all working. Because what's the point if you don't? You can't go to the next step. You can't detox, which is step 4 and 5, unless you do steps 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then you're getting rid of parasites. So step 4, parasites and garbage out of your immune system, or out of your intestinal system. If you don't clean that out, again, what's the point? Right? You got to do all this stuff. Then you clean the parasites out from head to toe, and then you get rid of now you can detox really well. Your body's ready for it, and then after you detox, then you take care of these organisms deep in the cells. So this is this is based off of the work of Todd Watts, Dr. Todd Watts. He's the main initial founder of Cellcore, and he did 5 steps, and I spread that out a bit, and I made it 7, and then I have the last step, O, for optimization. Okay, so moving on with the Lyme part, step 7, I wrote toxins, and then we have mold and other organisms. Okay, I already kind of covered that. So mold and other organisms include bacteria, and they include, for example, viruses, if you believe that viruses are a thing. So when you go see a doctor and you say, yeah, I think I have a chronic UTI, a bacterial infection, fine, easy enough, they're going to give you an antibiotic. Then what? It comes back because it's chronic. It's in the word, chronic UTI. Why does it keep coming back? Because multiple steps are missing from earlier. The antibiotic belongs in step 7. But if you didn't do steps 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, then it'll just keep coming back. So I hope you get that concept. It's brilliant. And it exceeds anything else I've ever read. I've read a lot. And I've been in this business since 1993. And I love going to seminars. I always love learning, especially live, listening to people on stage, getting their philosophy, absorbing what they have to say, and then reading these old books. They have their philosophy, they have their systems, and this way right here is the best. It's the best I've ever seen, and I'm very happy with the results are certainly there. Okay, so I want to talk about step O. So let me pull this up again. I'm going to get rid of this one. I'll just do this quickly about step O. The lifelong optimization here, it's the light blue color. And what I wrote is learn the goal of optimization here. It's actually continued improvement, so you'll have an easier time during a crisis, pandemic, or accident. So you have your health. Let me move this over. Okay, so your health is like right here. Let's say it's a little bit low. And then death is right here. It's too close. And then there's a pandemic, and you get an infection, or you get into a car accident, and you're only this far away from death. Okay, so lifelong optimization is a continued improvement in your health. So then when you get sick during a pandemic, it comes down like this, but you're more likely to survive. Or you get into a car accident, you're more likely to survive. And then we know with this current pandemic that the people who suffer the most are diabetic, they have heart disease, cancer, they're already immune compromised. They're overweight. So yeah, so all the work that you do to improve your health can prevent an early death. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this. All right. So I got some notes here. I'm gonna share with you. I want to make sure I got everything covered here. So, I put a link. Um, did I put it in the chat? Let me put it in the chat. Didn't show up. Give me a moment. I'll look this up. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so link in the chat. So you can go here and go to the official 3 educational videos. I go into more detail about this, but most of the detail is actually in the course itself. And I have added to this 7-step course. It's I have a mini course called Radioactive Elements. So I go into detail about radiation. And when you could do a urine test, I think, for radiation, like I think uranium. And Great Plains Laboratory has that. For example, it's open to the public can get that. You have to go through your doctor. But as far as radium is concerned, radium is a huge problem. And there's only one test that is run, and that's controlled by the government. So nobody knows how much radium they have in their body. But the Environmental Working Group website, ewg.org, they have a map of radium in tap water all across the United States. And 1/2 of Americans are drinking radium in their tap water. 50%, 80% of Texas has radium in their tap water. And there's a safe level. I'm going to do air quotes. Safe level? Come on, give me a break. Is there really a safe level for radiation for radium? That's totally debatable. And there's safe levels called 5 microcuries per picoliter. 5. And it's hard to find a water utility that has more than 5.0. But if you're at 4.9, it's safe. You're at 3.5, it's safe. You're at 0.1, it's safe. Debatable. Okay, but anyways, the point is 1/2 of Americans are drinking radium. And that's why you want to have a really good filter or drink distilled water. And distilled water is, you might want to put some minerals in there or not. I prefer putting minerals in distilled water for sure. Okay, so that radioactive elements course comes along with the with this program. Okay, I'm reading through my notes here. I want to make sure I got everything covered. Let me give you the price right now for this membership to this 7-step blueprint to optimal health. It's a big deal. There's a lot of videos. It's a lot of education, and you have access to all the supplements that I talk about, all the solutions, and then you get me twice a month on Zoom, and you can type in the chat, ask some questions. I can answer that. I'm limited there though. If you're not a patient, if I never took a history on you, and I don't know your condition, but whatever, I can still try. So for a lifetime membership, it's $1,200 flat fee. You get it for the rest of your life. That way, you can do it now, and a year from now, do it again. Do a parasite cleanse 3 years from now. Get exposed to some chemicals. Go right back in the course. Learn how to detoxify chemicals. Discover that you've been living in mold for 3 years. Go back in, learn how to detoxify mold. So I have all that in there. And then if $1,200 is too much for you, it's $147 a month. No contracts. Cancel anytime. For $147 a month, you can have you still get me twice a month on Zoom. So there's a pricing for that. That's affordable. It's all relative, right? It's still certainly affordable for a lot of people. So, but it's all relative. But $147 a month, it's a good price. I think it's a low price. Okay. So, we're doing a little special here. If you want to, we have a mold toxicity course. For the first 5 people that join, you get that for free. And normally, I've been selling that for $247 a month, or $247 flat rate. So if you're one of the first 5 to join the 7-step blueprint, you get that for $247. Also, you get the ketosis course for free, and I'm selling that at $50, but for free if you join now. And you're the first 5. So the person that helps me with this is Christian. He's like the administrator for this website, and so he may be one of the people that contact you when you join. Now consider this. So we have people flying in from all over the United States and even outside the country, and they come to see me in the office. I see them, a couple times a week, in 1 week, or maybe even up to 5 times in 1 week. I put them on a good program, and then we follow up with the phone. We have local people that come in, and they drive in, from a short distance. There are some people we just talk on the phone, and there's all different pricing for that. Now, and it's higher than what you have here. Okay. And the people that come in, they pay the higher prices. They're getting access to this online membership. Okay. But the lowest way financially to come into my practice, to come into our practice and get some care is with this membership program. So you just start watching all the videos, you learn a bunch of information, and then maybe you might decide, hey, I want to fly into Ann Arbor and see Dr. Schmidt or see Carrie or Dr. Amanda or whoever and get muscle tested. So you have like a good, make sure you're on the right path. Okay. So there's that. We set this up so that financially this program is the cheapest at really $147 a month. And then whether you buy the supplements, it's up to you. You can choose to do that or not. Okay, so there's my introduction to this. And doing these 4 seminars live on YouTube has inspired me to get back on YouTube. It's hard to say that because they don't like me. They like communism. I'm sorry. I like the free market. And I like when a private business is producing a really good product and then is paid directly by the consumer, and there's exchange there. And as opposed to socialized medicine, which is what we have in the United States, health insurance is socialism by proxy. So that relationship between the doctor and the patient is controlled by a third party. The third party controls the treatment, controls the pricing, controls the doctor, and controls the patient. So that control there, that's a problem. And that's why we're in the situation that we're in now, because the control, above that is Big Pharma. So Big Pharma controlling the medical schools, the associations, the insurance companies. And, there's 10 new billionaires in the last, 18 months. Big Pharma billionaires, 10 of them new because of the current pandemic. And that's what their game is. That's what they're all about. And just consider, when you look at the side effects of medications, let's talk about statin drugs, for example, to lower cholesterol. It's been known for decades. They barely work. They help anywhere from 0.9 to 1.2% of the people that take them. They're basically worthless. And they cause side effects: impotence in men, Alzheimer's, depression, muscle soreness, and more. And a medical doctor is bound by his or her license to give this drug if you have a high LDL, even though I can go on and on about how that's not a good factor anyways. But if they don't give the statin drug, they are in legal trouble. They can lose their license. They can get sued. And that's the system. Okay, now translate that to a vaccine. The doctor is legally bound to give the vaccine. They're rewarded for it. They're paid money. And if you get a side effect from it, right, just like the statin drug has side effects, whose fault is that? It's yours, because you took it. You agreed to it. Yeah, but Dr. Schmidt, they're going to fire me. Okay, you agreed to it. Yeah, but Dr. Schmidt, they're going to take my kid out of school. Okay, but you agreed to it. It's sad. It's a horrible situation to be in. But if you have a bad effect from a shot or a drug, you still agreed to take that. And it's force, it's tyranny, and it's not the free market at all. It's total, honestly, socialism slash communism. I've been told so many times not to say this on YouTube, but I'm saying it. So now when you have a bad side effect from a shot or a drug, you can get your blame for it because why? Because your body is stupid. It doesn't know how to heal itself. Your dosage was too high. Your dosage was too small. Um, and it's all on you. And the medical doctors don't take responsibility. So for 20 years, I've seen a bunch of uh, vaccine damaged children. They have autism. And the mom says the same thing over and over again. They got the shot, and the kid had a fever and then a seizure. And they take the kid back to the doctor, back to the hospital, back to the clinic, and the doctor says, "Oh, it's impossible that the shot caused that." I've heard it, 24 times in 15 years. And so they take no responsibility. There's no claim that a vaccine causes an autistic kid. It is official right now that 1 in 44 kids are autistic. At this stage, it's official. Okay, so now it's on you. You're the parent. Now, if you choose not to get a shot or a vaccine to the kid, and the kid gets whooping cough or, measles or whatever, it's on you. It's still, your problem. Okay, so you got to get educated on that. And the same true for the current vaccine. It's still on you, and the pressure is high for you to take it. Okay, but an educated consumer will study the car. I have a small collection of cars. I study my butt off and I buy the right one. And I have 3 cars that are worth more now than when I paid for them because I'm an educated consumer, right? Same thing if you buy a refrigerator or a house or a dog. But if you're an educated consumer on a vaccine, no, you're going to be called a conspiracy theorist or anti-vaxxer or whatever. But, the point is get the education. Okay, it's important that you get that. Okay, I gotta go. They're really gonna kick me off, and I'll end up on Rumble or something. I'm on Rumble right now, and Gab. Okay, so cool. So go on that link and join the 7-Step Blueprint to Optimal Health Club, and or else you can become a patient if you need help, and keep learning from me as I educate on my videos. And you can sign up for emails through my office, and we send out emails a couple times a week. All right, good. I got to get going. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you sometime in the future. Bye.